All right, welcome everyone. I'll call the meeting to order. The West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Board, our monthly June meeting. Item 1.1, any additions to the open agenda? Seeing none. Item 1.2, approval of the agenda. Have a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Fellner, seconded by Councillor Ashford, that the agenda for the June 11th, 2025 West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Board is hereby approved as circulated. Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. Any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Approval of minutes. A mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Lundy, seconded by Councillor Dobro. That the minutes of the May 14th, 2025 regular meeting of the West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Board are hereby approved as circulated. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Carried. Delegations and correspondence, none for tonight. Item 3 for business. 3.1 steering committee update. This is just added to the agenda if there's anything that's not going to be forthcoming in the agenda from the steering committee. Way of update. Mr. Inwood?
I'm not aware.
Okay. Mr. Inwood?
We are mics, right? Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just got some information brought in from CSMP Architects just past the deadline for report submission, so I wasn't able to prepare anything for the board, but just as information, we have received the fees for additional consulting services for the infrastructure to support a pool timing system and a donor wall. So I'm not sure how, if the board's comfortable, I've consulted with the construction team. We have time, so I can bring this back in a formal report next month, or if you'd like, I can provide a high level summary at this time.
Board, what would you prefer? Over here, might as well give us a high level summary now, and then that'll, if there's any questions, that'll generate for the next meeting.
Okay, the short and dirty version of this is from a consulting perspective to prepare working documents to price out the actual installation of conduit and the structural changes. CSMP Architects has quoted a price of $5,700 plus Smith and Anderson, the electrical consultant, at $3,920. So with all the extras added in total, we have a $9,620 fee to develop the program to be able to price the cost to do the structural and electrical upgrades.
So that's outside of our budget.
That is in addition to the budget, yes.
Any questions on that from the board? Would that come out of contingency then? Is that how that would be funded?
Yeah, it would be contingency funded at this point, yes.
Okay. Is that a large enough sum that you need a resolution from the board for that?
Because it's additional to the scope of work that's identified, I do need a resolution. It's financially, it's within the authorities of myself or the steering committee to approve, but because it is a change in scope, we do not have authority. So I would need a resolution of the board to direct us to proceed if that was the direction that the board wanted to.
I did hear you say it could wait till the next meeting. So that's probably more comfortable for the clerk to prepare the resolution. Board's okay with that direction? Right, thank you. Any other updates from the steering committee? Any questions from the board for the steering committee? That's not already going to be covered later on the agenda tonight. I just had one just for a future meeting. It's just an update on the EV charging stations. In there, I see it showing up on the construction site meetings, but it's just kind of general in nature. So maybe we could have something at the next meeting. Whoever's bailiwick that falls into. Thank you. Item 3.2, project and budget update provided by the steering committee. Mr. Inwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As has been the trend over the last number of months, Ball Construction continues to forge forward with the with the works with the facility, making meaningful progress day in, day out. Mr. Homewood, who normally attends, has a conflict this evening. So Vlad Mellet who's the project manager and the on-site guy that takes care of day-to-day business with the project, will be joining us online to provide the budget update and the project update. So I'll pass it over to Vlad.
I'm sorry, but he is not online yet.
You can defer that till he's available later in the meeting. Move on to item 3.3, the monthly financial reports. Mrs. Phillips, welcome.
Thank you. Okay. So the balance sheet shows that the cash balance is approximately 4.2 million at the end of May 2025. 2.4 million was received in May from ISIP grant funding. $33,900 in sponsorship and naming rights shows as a receivable in May and has now been received. 15.7 million approximately has been recorded in work in progress towards capital works to date. The statement of operation shows 190,000 received for matching donation for the Make a Splash campaign, $39,498 in other fundraising and donations, and 106,000 in sponsorship naming rights have been recorded. 1,187 in bank charges and 19,792 in legal costs are reflected to date. Funds on hand are earning interest of $48,894 year to date. Some audit costs, annual website costs, and other minor promotional costs are reflected. As of May, the fundraising surplus from the beginning to date is $925,878. Future commitments made are $250,000 based upon signed sponsorship and naming rights agreements to date. And the line of credit for cash flow purposes is now available, and municipal cash flow contributions have been returned. And that's pretty much the summary. Unless anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you for that. Questions from the board? Councilor DeRoe.
Thank you, Treasurer. I had a question put to me. In your statement, it talks that the board has received all capital financial contributions from the funding partners. This is on page 13 of your report. Can you describe, when you're saying all the funding partners, is that all of the municipalities that we're dealing with, or who is that including?
Is that where it talks about the 13.5 million on the line of credit?
It's right at the beginning of your report. Under balance sheet as of May 31st, 2025. The line says the board has received all capital financial contributions from the funding partners.
Oh, through the chair. This is just the municipal contributions from McKellar, Carling, Archipelago, for their proportionate share as per the agreement. So the exact amounts that were in the agreement are already reflected in the cash balance, I guess, what's been received to date.
Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Councilor DeRoe.
Thank you, Chair. Just one other further question on page 24. It talks about the interest gained from the Charity Reserve Fund report and its interest rates. The prime rate that it's talking about there, and the fund is at less 1.65 of the fund rate. Is that the same number that we're using in dealing with the bridge financing?
Yes, so the line of credit is actually at the exact same rate of interest as compared to the bank account. So what we're earning in the bank account is the same as what's in, we would be paying in the line of credit. So later, when I talk about donations being in a separate account, it will be like a wash if we keep those separate compared to using the line of credit, but
Thank you
Does that
for the
help?
clarification. That helps.
You're-
Thank you.
Any other questions? Then I'll move to the resolution then regarding the financial report. And I have a mover and a seconder to receive the reports. Moved by Councillor Ashford, second by Councillor Fellner. That the May 31st, 2025 financial reports be received for information. Discussion? All those in favor? It's carried. Has Vlad joined us yet? No. Item 3.4, funds held in trust by the town. On that, Mr. Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, there's, as the board knows, there's funds, approximately $40,000 held in trust that the Optimist Club raised. And I think provided to the town in 1994. So this is a project that's been on people's minds for many years. We had a recent dialogue with the AGCO. The AGCO needs to give their approval for how the town would move those funds to another organization. Given that we're close to finalizing agreements with the Y from an operating perspective, I think it makes sense to transfer to them. That's in the town council's hands. In speaking with the AGCO, they suggest a charitable organization such as the Y. They thought that made sense. A couple of options the town would enter into an agreement so that those funds, when they're released from the town, we know exactly they're going to be used for. And obviously the intent is to use them for this recreation project. A couple of things that they suggested, purchase of equipment. We know we need to purchase equipment, but they said if the Y is using that money to purchase equipment, they need to own the equipment. So, there's many hoops and complications. The other thing that they said, you could use it to pay for programming. And we know there's going to be a cost to programming, or they suggested that it could be used to subsidize memberships. And in part of the forecasts that we've had for the different financial models, that we know there'll be some individuals in the greater community that might not be able to afford a full membership, and some subsidies might be provided so that they can get a membership in the facility, and the monies could be used to subsidize that. So we need to have some further conversations at the board as to what the board would like, and then request that the town enter into an agreement with the Y to execute whatever that preference is. And that would be done after we enter into agreements for the operation of the facility.
Lundy.
Just a quick question. I hadn't thought about that till now. If we were to use it for subsidies, would it be for ratepayers of the 7 participating municipalities?
Through the chair, in all likelihood.
Questions? Councillor Fellner. Yep. Brock Button.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, well, we just recently discussed the need for a donor board for this facility. And quite frankly, I don't think we can open this facility without a donor board, without recognizing the people that have supported this journey we've all been on the last little while. So is there not a way that the Y could accept the gift, or the Mr. Harris, and then somehow put those funds towards the donor board? And I think if we do indeed enter into an operating agreement with the Y, they probably would find themselves on this board, and if they had to own it, well, I wouldn't be adverse to that.
Through the chair, I mean, that's a suggestion we can certainly take under consideration. I think the end goal would be to in somehow offset the costs that we're otherwise going to incur. And whether it's the donor
Exactly.
board or something, but that hadn't been discussed in our conversation with the AGCO. They have a pretty clear idea of what's possible and what's not, so that's certainly a suggestion we could run by them.
Yeah, no, we'd let them own the donor board. That'd be okay. Thank you.
I think I heard in that, in your report that nothing's happening with those funds until it comes back to the board for approval. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, yeah, I mean, the town needs to enter in an agreement with the Y, but I think we'd like, and maybe even as early as the next board meeting, get some indication what the board would like to see those monies allocated towards the project. And then we should have the agreements in place with the Y, so we comfortable entering into this other agreement with the Y as to how they're going to spend this approximate $40,000. So next meeting, we could get some direction from this board as to the preference, donors, subsidies, and that's premised on our ability to have a conversation with AGCO. Sometimes they're not always available, but if we're able to have a conversation, we can put some of these suggestions forward and come back with a recommendation.
So maybe just to put that on a more formal basis, would it be a friendly amendment to this resolution to add that the report entitled funds held in trust by the town be received for information purposes, and the board requests to be involved in the decision-making of the disbursement of the funds?
Certainly, I have no issue with that.
So we'll get to that, I guess, when we do that. Any questions at this point before we get to the resolution? Councillor Fellner?
Just a point to Mr. Harris when he's discussing this matter, that in fact, the funds originally came from, was it the Optimist Club, the Lions? It came from one of those service
Through the chairs, our records show the Optimist Club, but
well,
there might have been others.
we need to recognize them as well, because, way back when, what we were saying 25 years ago, they thought enough of this project to start raising money for it. So it's only fitting that their money be used, in my mind, to purchase this board and reflect their contribution and the contribution of everyone else that's been involved with us. And I would appreciate if you'd make that point known to the Gaming Commission or whoever the powers to be is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I think that probably leads to, before I get to the resolution, we probably need a budget of some sort for that board, since that seems to be where the discussion is going. So I'm not sure. Mayor McDermott, if the board will permit me to receive this deputation.
Yeah, I don't have an actual estimate for ours, but I have the exact costs in 2025 dollars of several similar ones. And they range from about 25,000 way up to 300,000 and 400,000. But I believe we can get something within the under $100,000 that will serve us for many years. So I haven't put it out to an RFP or anything. I've just been looking at what kinds of boards are there and what they cost.
5,000 sounded good.
They're
Maybe that's
tiny.
something that probably should come through the steering committee though, rather than through the fundraising committee, in terms of getting estimates or costing on that. I have no idea myself exactly what this board will look like, but Greenwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through yourself, we can engage with the architecture firm who's done some research to be able to identify how and what the electrical and structural needs would be for this thing. So they would be able to likely make a recommendation if we give them a budget range and see what they can come back with. So if the board wishes, I can see if I can pursue that information and bring it back to the board's attention.
We're okay with that direction, Councillor Asher?
I just had if there is a way that we can also compare that to what we could purchase that we would save funds on. But I don't know, it sounds like it is essential to have a donor recognition board as well, but just maybe just a comparison, because if push comes to shove at some point at the end of the project, it might be wise just to be able to say, if we got to cut something, make sure we're prepared to know we have a couple options on what we could cut if it comes to that.
Further comment? Mr. Greenwood? I'm thinking that once you're that far along, it'll be hard to back off because you will run conduit, that sort of thing for it as well. But I also just would offer up, I would think on behalf of donors, they would probably rather see their funds go into the actual facility itself, the recreation part of it, as opposed to having their name up there, although I'm sure they want the name recognition as well.
If I can, Mr. Chair, yeah, I think it's important for donors. I mean, I think you're correct that donors want to see their funds put to use in constructing the facility. If we're in a pinch and we're having to make last minute cuts, you know, I would have to go back and look at sort of what the value engineering exercise would bring forward. This likely would be a fairly low value component if we were trying to save significant dollars. And at this point in time, we're not forecasting any shift or change in the budget. So I think the risk is fairly low. But I would expect that donors would also appreciate the recognition, especially for those that have made sizable contributions when they come through the door. It's pretty standard in a lot of facilities such as this. So again, I think the risk at this point of the budget shifting from our current forecasted end target is pretty slim. So I don't know that we're going to be looking to value engineer out anything. And to your point, it's going to be pretty late in the game to start making changes at that point. It's pretty late in the game at this point to start making significant changes. So I think it's a low risk factor, but we can certainly come back with the information I've suggested we will and let the board consider it from there.
Other comments, questions? Right, then we'll go to the resolution. That the report entitled Funds Held in Trust by the Town be received for information purposes, and the MSB requests to be involved in the actual disbursement of those funds. All moved by Councillor Dobro, seconded by Councillor Fellner. All those in favor? Carried. Furthermore to that, then we'll do it as direction for the minutes that an estimate be prepared for that donor board based on what the requirements are. Going on to item 3.5, deed of gift to transfer donations and other fundraising, submitted by the Director of Finance. Mrs. Phillips.
Thank you. So tonight's report, the bylaw and agreement will allow the town to gift the bank account containing donations received towards West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center project to West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Joint Municipal Service Board. Originally, the MSB did not have the ability to issue official donation receipts. So while they awaited a decision on the application to be considered, as a qualified donee, the town issued the receipts on the request to allow for fundraising to continue. After movement of the account to the MSB, fundraising will continue and the MSB will issue all the official donation receipts. The MSB will maintain the separate bank account for donations and fundraising, as well as a separate reserve fund for that purpose. So it'll be called a reserve fund, and we'll segregate those funds until they're used. And the funds will earn interest at the same rate paid on a loan account on the line of credit. So the impact of keeping them separate will be nil. The contract for the software system Trellis for electronic donations will be moved over to the ownership of the MSB to continue with the fundraising. So that transition is expected to be seamless. And the MSB is now listed as a qualified donee for a municipal body performing a function of government in Canada on the CRA website. So they're approved to issue official donation receipts. And are there any questions related to that?
just make a comment. There's been involved in a lot of meetings recently, but several of them went the administration team from the town, which Ms. Phillips is part of that too. And to get to this point, we did have one meeting was with the fundraising chair, Mayor McDermott as well, just to make sure we're getting everything together. There was a lot of rules and regulations to follow, as you can imagine, with CRA and accounting. But we're moving all through that, whatever. So this is a nice transition to see that we're moving it all into the MSB at this point in time to have that. Any questions or comments? Anything? And I will thank that administrative team for putting up with all these meetings as well, but I think they were necessary to get us to the point where we're at. So I hope we'll then to the, we have a bylaw and a resolution for this. So the kind of a mover and a seconder for the bylaw, moved by Councillor Lundy, second by Councillor Dobro. Bylaw 2025-02, being a bylaw to authorize execution of agreement with the town of Prairie Sound for a deed of gift to support the transfer, donations, and fundraising for construction of the West Prairie Sound Recreation Cultural Center facility. Discussion. All those in favor? It's carried. A resolution. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Ashford, seconded by Councillor Lundy. That the board approves the transfer of the Trellis software contract from the town to the West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center. Discussion. All those in favor? It's carried. Okay, so Mr. Maloot has joined us now from Ball Construction, so we will move to that project and budget update. Welcome, Mr. Maloot. Can you hear us?
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Floor is yours for
Meeting you
your
all.
presentation.
Yeah, I will, sorry, I haven't done this before. Am I sharing my screen here?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, so I'll go over project update here in terms of construction and budget. So just short overview here of the items I'm touching base on. So short-term construction schedule, overall project schedule, quick budget update, and an update on the contingency. So short-term schedule, we're currently, I'll say 99% done with the roofing. Building is watertight. We're just having some final touches on the roof parapets and some of the walkways, but essentially the roof is complete. The spray foam insulation around the building envelope and the cladding is well underway. We have good progress with the underground plumbing. Our mechanical contractors working on the sanitary, storm, and water main. Electrical contractors also been busy. He's there working on putting all the underground conduits. And we have mobilized our painter who is focusing on the steel structure. We also have our mechanical subcontractor working on the HVAC ductwork, putting up the ductwork within the building and also working on the rooftop units. Overall project schedule and forecasted activities here. Our glazing contractor is tentative to start here in June. We have taken our site measurements and the curtain wall system is in fabrication. So we're expecting that towards the end of June. First portion of interior slab. So that's the concrete slab on grade. We're looking to pour that in July. We're currently working on the subgrade for that and the reinforcement. Swimming pool installation. So we're going to be taking the gear on that. We're looking to start the installation towards the end of July. That's going to begin with some of the bigger equipment in the filtration room and move with the main drains and then go into the pool itself. Our expected delivery here for the pool walls themselves is late September, early October. Base coat of asphalt parking lot, so we're targeting to complete that work this fall as well. And overall project completion, we're still on target here for late May of 2026. In terms of project budget, so since the December 11th project update, it's still currently sitting the same. We are working on tendering the final items here. So 97% of the items have been tendered. Our asphalt tender is coming to a close here, and we're expecting to finalize that. And our estimating team is working to find a landscaping contractor. And the overall project budget still sitting currently at 39,500,000. And then in terms of construction contingency, our Class C budget construction contingency, so that was prior to us starting construction, was 1,519,676. Through our tendering, what we've issued to date, we were able to find some cost savings, and we ended up reducing the construction contingency by just shy of $500,000 there, and resulted in our construction contingency to be at $1,022,319. To date, for contract changes, we have $234,760 in approved and pending changes, and the balance of our construction contingency is currently sitting at $787,559. Go over here some pictures and give you guys a brief explanation. So over here, we're looking at the north side of the building. Here we can see the metal siding cladding is being installed, as well as the spray foam behind that. In this picture here, we're looking at the south end of the interior building. So we're looking at the underground plumbing progress. This here is a view from the south side of the building. You can see, so this is our air and vapor barrier that gets installed prior to the insulation that makes up our metal siding building envelope. So you can kind of see here the three different stages of that building envelope. And then at the end here, so we're looking on the left-hand side. This is currently the wall that's dividing the gymnasium with fitness area. So we see here some metal studs as well as drywall already on the way. And then on the right-hand side here, we're kind of sitting in the middle of the building, looking out the east side. So this is where the pool is, under the CLT wood ceiling. And the ramp you see there, that's going to be our main access point in and out of that pool until we get all the pool components delivered and inside the building. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for listening. And let me know if there's any comments or questions.
All right, thank you for that update. Any questions for Mr. Malou? We'll just note, I know that there are meetings on site with our steering committee as the owners as well, and some minutes are provided for those. So those are very comprehensive and timely. So thank you for doing those and sharing them. And I think they're going out to the board members now. So that's good to see. And did I hear correctly that All Construction is the contractor for the new YMCA in Barrie as well?
That's correct. Yeah, actually, we've mobilized to site. We haven't started construction yet, but probably in the next couple of weeks, there's going to be some activity there.
Good. Well, they're in good hands.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Move the resolution then. I can move in a seconder. See, moved by Counselor Fellner, second by Counselor Ashford, that the board receive the June 11th, 2025 project and budget update for information purposes. Further discussion? All's in favor? It's carried. Thank you, Mr. Malute. Have a good night.
Thank you all. Same to you.
Move on to item 3.6, signing authority for the chair submitted by the treasurer. Move in a seconder. Moved by Counselor Fellner, second by Counselor Dobro. That the treasurer be directed to replace the previous chair's signing authority with that of the new board chair, Mayor Dale Robinson. Discussion? All's in favor? It's carried. Item 4.1 is to move to the closed meeting. Move in a seconder for the resolution of going to moved by Counselor Ashford, second by Counselor Fellner. Pursuant to section 239, paragraphs 2 and 3 of the Municipal Act SO 2001, chapter 25 is amended. The West Prairie Sound Recreation and Cultural Center Board moves to a meeting closed to the public in order to address matters pertaining to a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land for municipal or local board purposes, specifically the transfer of YMCA property to the board and transfer of 44 Joseph Street property to the board, and a position plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or local board, specifically the YMCA operating agreement, transfer of YMCA property to the board, transfer of 44 Joseph Street property to the board, and transfer payment agreement negotiations. Discussion. Those in favor? It's carried. Give me a dart to throw at me or something. All right, we're live again. Just for the information of the public who may be watching, we've come back into live as one of our items for the open session was omitted on the printed agenda. And it's an important item, and it's the fundraising update from the co-chair of the fundraising committee, Mayor McDermott.
Thank you very much. Stephanie has reported on the numbers. So we're sitting at basically 1.3, which includes the commitments over the next few years, like with contracts signed. And she also reviewed that the contracts for the Trellis software and the bank account are moving to the MSB, which is a good move. And that the fundraising costs will be coming out of that account. And we had a meeting that you referred to last Tuesday, where we reviewed all of the, I'll call them templates and receipts that people get either out of Trellis or hard copy if they show up with cash or a check. And we've had feedback from you, Mr. Harris, and I hear Stephanie, to proceed now to take those templates live as best we can on Trellis. So that'll start to be consistent, the right logos, the right tonality with your name as the chair of the MSB. And we agreed that as part of the fundraising and overall data management, we would proceed with an organization called Constant Contact to maintain a database of not only donors, but volunteers. I'm going to suggest I would put all of the board member names on that Constant Contact. So you will start to get our quarterly newsletters. Everybody will have an option to unsubscribe if they don't want to hear from us, but there are quite a few people in the community that I think would like to hear us. And as a next step as well, when we write the contracts, the contract was designed by a lawyer, but before we release them, we will send them through to the treasurer so that she can make sure the right ones are being taxed. If it's a naming contract, they do pay HST. If it's purely philanthropic, they don't, and they get their name on the donor board, but they don't have their name on a thing or a room. So they don't pay HST. And we will now start, when the contracts go, to issue an invoice for either all or the portion of that contract that is due at that point in time. The other thing between Stephanie and Valerie Yankovic, They're going to try and work with Trellis to show cumulative donation amounts, because there are several people that have, not only with contracts, but individuals that have made multiple donations. And so we want those to show. We can do it manually, but we believe it can be done electronically within the Trellis software. We just need to work with them to get that to happen, so that the credit for each organization or individual will be for the cumulative amount of donations over however many years. So we're cleaning up the processes, being more consistent, and I hope we'll go forward with a better kind of overall communication. Any questions?
I'll just say to most meetings, I was very encouraged by the cooperation and synergy I thought of everyone involved, fundraising to administrative as well. It's good teams were being set up there, so I'm very encouraged to see that. I agree with your comment. It's good to see everything coming under the MSB now, because we had to do some things for tax reasons and expediency to make the best for the board, but now we're getting it all. You had to go through these steps, but it's nice to get to this step. I guess it's the short way of saying it. So I think,
And I hope it'll be simpler too. Thank you.
thank you for everything that your committee is doing. I have to do the closed again, or we accept the previous resolution? It's fine. Okay.